If an authority instructed you to harm a stranger, would you comply? Most people did. And this is only the beginning. These experiments expose concealed dimensions of human nature, dimensions that most prefer not to confront. They demonstrate how readily ordinary individuals can obey orders, conform to group norms, or engage in actions they never imagined themselves capable of. Today, we enumerate 10 psychological experiments that fundamentally altered our understanding of human behavior and revealed truths about ourselves that are far darker than commonly acknowledged. Number 10. The Asch Conformity Experiment. When everyone is wrong, you will likely join them. In 1951, psychologist Solomon Asch gathered a group of men for what they believed was a vision test. But the real test had nothing to do with eyesight. Asch placed only one real participant among a group of actors. The actors intentionally gave obviously wrong answers. Lines of different lengths were shown. The answer was clear, but the group confidently chose the wrong one. At first, the real participant resisted. But trial after trial, under the weight of social pressure, 75% eventually followed the group, even when they knew it was wrong. The experiment revealed a simple truth. Humans fear being different more than being wrong. And that fear guides far more of our decisions than we realize. Number 9. The Good Samaritan Study. Your morality can collapse in a hurry. At Princeton University, theology students, future pastors, were instructed to walk to another building to deliver a short sermon as part of their training. The experimenters subtly manipulated the students' sense of urgency. Some were told, "Take your time," allowing them to proceed at a normal pace, while others were informed, "You are late, hurry," creating a palpable sense of pressure. On their route, each student passed a man slumped in a doorway, coughing and clearly in distress, calling out for assistance. The responses were striking. Students who were hurried were over 10 times more likely to pass by without offering help, despite the fact that they were en route to preach a message centered on compassion and altruism, the very principles exemplified by the Good Samaritan. The results revealed a sobering reality about human behavior. Even individuals with strong moral convictions can find their values overridden by situational pressures. It is not solely who we are that dictates our actions, but the constraints and urgencies of the moment. Our morality, it seems, bends under pressure, often without our conscious awareness. Number 8. The Bobo Doll Experiment. Violence is contagious. Albert Bandura sought to understand a fundamental question. Do children acquire aggressive behaviors merely by observing them in others? To investigate, he showed young children a video of an adult violently interacting with a large inflatable doll, kicking it, punching it, and striking it with various objects. The adult's actions were deliberate and unrestrained, designed to provide a clear model of aggressive behavior. Afterward, the children were left alone with the same doll, given the opportunity to play freely. Child approaching Bobo doll, the children reproduced nearly every aggressive action they had observed, including novel forms of attack that the adult had not demonstrated. Bandura's findings demonstrated a profound principle of human learning. Individuals, particularly children, acquire behaviors through observation and imitation. This process applies not only to positive and socially acceptable behaviors, but also to acts of cruelty and aggression. In an age dominated by screens, video games, and social media, the implications of this experiment are more significant than ever. What children witness, on television, online, or in real life, can shape the way they interact with the world, for better or worse. Number 7. The Robbers Cave Experiment. We hate them because they are not us. Two groups of 11-year-old boys were taken to a summer camp for a controlled social experiment. At the outset, neither group was aware of the other's existence. During the first week, each group focused on bonding internally, developing a shared identity, cooperation, and loyalty among its members. Activities were designed to encourage teamwork and a sense of belonging, allowing group norms and hierarchies to naturally emerge. Once the groups were introduced to one another, the researchers deliberately created conditions for competition. The results were immediate and striking. Hostility erupted almost instantly. Flags were burned in acts of defiance, physical fights broke out, food was stolen, and boys refused to share meals or interact peacefully. There was no history of conflict, no pre-existing grievances, only two artificially constructed groups. Yet hatred and rivalry emerged as if by instinct. The takeaway is chilling. Humans do not require a concrete reason to harbor animosity. All that is needed is a clear division between us and them, and the seeds of conflict take root. This experiment underscores the powerful influence of group identity on human behavior and the ease with which social divisions can generate hostility. Number 6, the bystander effect. The more people watching, the less anyone helps. In 1968, psychologists Bibb Latané and John Darley designed a controlled experiment to investigate human responses to emergency situations. Participants were asked to complete a survey in a room that gradually filled with smoke, simulating a crisis scenario. When a participant was alone, 75% reacted promptly, calling for help almost immediately. However, when other individuals were present, Confederates instructed to remain passive, the real participant often hesitated, unsure of what to do. Ultimately, only 10% took action to report the emergency or intervene. Why does this happen? Humans instinctively look to others to determine what constitutes normal behavior. In ambiguous situations, the presence of passive bystanders creates social cues that inaction is acceptable. When everyone waits, no one moves. This phenomenon carries profound implications for real-world settings, crowded cities, subway trains, public squares, and even workplaces. It is not evidence of cruelty or apathy. Rather, it reflects the diffusion of responsibility, where the burden to act feels diminished as the number of observers increases. When everyone is watching, we assume someone else will intervene, yet paradoxically, no one does. Number 5, the doll test. Bias begins earlier than we ever imagined. In the 1940s, psychologists Kenneth and Mamie Clark conducted a groundbreaking study to examine the development of racial attitudes in children. They presented young children with two dolls, one light-skinned and one dark-skinned, and asked a series of questions. Which doll is nice? Which doll looks bad? Which doll looks like you? The results were striking. Even many black children identified the lighter-skinned doll as good and the darker-skinned doll as bad. These responses revealed that children had already internalized the racial biases present in their environment. Importantly, this prejudice was not taught explicitly in classrooms or homes. It was absorbed subtly through societal cues, media representations, and the attitudes of adults around them. The lesson is profoundly heartbreaking. Children do not invent prejudice, they inherit it. Without conscious societal change, these early biases can shape self-perception, behavior, and attitudes well into adulthood. The experiment underscores the pervasive and insidious nature of racial bias and the urgent need to address it from the earliest stages of life. Number 4, the false memory experiment. Your brain can turn fiction into reality. Psychologist Elizabeth Loftus demonstrated just how astonishingly easy it is to implant false memories in human minds. In her experiments, volunteers were presented with detailed narratives describing events that had never actually occurred, such as getting lost in a shopping mall as a child or being involved in a minor accident. Initially, almost all participants denied that the events had happened. However, after repeated discussions, suggestive questioning, and guided imagination exercises, a significant portion began to remember the events vividly. They recalled emotions, sensory details, and even specific sequences of events with remarkable certainty. This experiment revealed a profound and unsettling truth. Memory is not a passive recording of past events. Instead, it is a reconstructive process, constantly edited, reshaped, and sometimes fabricated by the brain. What we believe to be factual recollection can, under subtle influence, become a convincing but entirely false narrative. Loftus's findings highlight the fragility of human memory and its susceptibility to suggestion. with implications for eyewitness testimony, legal proceedings, and our very understanding of personal history. Number 3, the monster study. Words can shape a child's future. In 1939, orphaned children were carefully divided into 2 groups for a controversial study. One group received warm, supportive, and encouraging speech therapy, designed to build confidence and improve communication skills. The other group, however, was repeatedly criticized and told that their speech was defective, even when there was no actual problem. The children were subjected to harsh feedback, ridicule, and negative reinforcement, creating an environment of fear and self-doubt. The results were devastating. The children who were criticized developed lifelong anxiety, persistent speech difficulties, and deep emotional scars. Many carried the psychological impact well into adulthood, illustrating how profoundly early verbal experiences can shape an individual's self-perception and mental health. This deeply unethical study revealed a dark and unsettling reality about human nature. A single voice of criticism, repeated over time, can resonate across a lifetime, especially within the vulnerable mind of a child. It serves as a powerful reminder that the words we speak to children are not easily forgotten. They often become the voice children use to speak to themselves. Number 2, the Milgram obedience experiment. Most people will harm others if a man in a lab coat tells them to. In a groundbreaking and controversial study, participants were instructed to administer electric shocks to a stranger seated in another room whenever the stranger made a mistake on a task. With each successive error, the voltage of the shock was increased, gradually reaching levels labeled as extremely painful or even potentially lethal. The participants experienced intense conflict. They hesitated, sweated, and trembled as the shocks escalated. Yet whenever they questioned the procedure or hesitated, the experimenter, an authority figure in a lab coat, calmly insisted, "Please continue." Remarkably, a significant majority complied. 65% of participants delivered the maximum deadly voltage, continuing even as the stranger screamed in apparent pain, and even after the screams ceased altogether. Milgram's experiment exposed a chilling reality. Ordinary people are capable of committing horrifying acts, not necessarily because they are inherently cruel or evil, but because they submit to authority. It revealed the profound and sometimes terrifying influence that social hierarchy and perceived legitimacy can have over human behavior. The study continues to serve as a stark reminder of how situational pressures can override personal morals and ethical judgment. Number 1, the Stanford prison experiment. If you give someone power, they will likely abuse it. In 1971, psychologist Philip Zimbardo created a simulated prison environment in the basement of Stanford University. College students were randomly assigned to play the roles of guards or prisoners, with the expectation that the experiment would last 2 weeks. However, the study was abruptly terminated after just 6 days. The reason was clear and disturbing. The guards quickly adopted cruel and abusive behaviors far beyond what was anticipated. They humiliated prisoners, deprived them of sleep, imposed arbitrary and degrading punishments, and exerted psychological control with alarming intensity. The prisoners, in turn, suffered emotional breakdowns. Some wept uncontrollably, some pleaded to leave, and some lost all sense of personal identity and autonomy. The experiment took an unexpected turn when Zimbardo himself, the lead researcher, became so immersed in his role as prison superintendent that he overlooked his responsibility to maintain ethical oversight. The conclusion is both simple and chilling. Ordinary people can commit monstrous acts when placed in certain situations, and few, if any, are truly immune to the corrupting influence of power. The Stanford prison experiment remains a stark reminder of the profound impact that social structures, assigned roles, and unchecked authority can have on human behavior. These 10 experiments reveal uncomfortable truths about obedience, conformity, prejudice, and the fragility of our morality. But understanding darkness does not make us darker. It makes us aware. It gives us the power to choose differently. to help when others stay silent, to question authority, to resist pressure, to raise kinder children, to break cycles of bias. Human nature may be darker than we think, but that only means awareness is more important than ever. If you learned something new today, remember to subscribe to the channel and share it with friends who think they understand human nature, because none of us truly understand ourselves.